What's up? What's up? What's up? Y'all, we're back. First time, first podcast from Freddy B. I'm Sevi F, and we have who we have for tonight's special.
Making an appearance on the channel. What's up? Good to see everyone again. It's your boy Freddy B. Trying to represent and give you some good knowledge and information.
So yeah, today we're with Freddy B. Welcome to our special guest of the day. You guys do enjoy this podcast, please drop a like and start following us on YouTube, Instagram. We're going to put all the links down in the description, but let's dive in. Are you ready?
Yeah, so what we want to do for you guys today is we're going to talk a little NBA shop. This is what we would call barbershop talk, is one way to kind of put it. Just the things that you argue about with your friends about who's better than who, what era is the best, etc., etc. So the first topic that we're going to start with is trying to debate the two greatest franchises of all time. We have the Lakers and the Celtics, both with 17 championships, so they're equal in that sense. So we want to break it down a little bit further, and we want to present with you some different arguments on which team might be considered greater.
So let's dive in with the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics won the championship 17 times, so as the Los Angeles Lakers. And today we're going to pretty much what you said. In my opinion, the Boston Celtics are a greater team than the Los Angeles Lakers.
All right, and why do you think that is?
I think they just won a lot more in a row. They had one of the great. They had the greatest player almost of all time, which was Bill Russell.
Which we'll get into in a little bit about breaking down the criteria for how you say greatest player.
Greatest player. He won 11 championships. He literally dominated the NBA in his day back, and he won eight championships in a row. Was it?
8 in a row.
8 in a row, which you can't say a lot. So not a lot of people can say that.
So not only were the Celtics the most dominant team in NBA history, it's in professional, American sports as well. No one's ever won 8 titles in a row. They won 11 in 13 years. That is just insane. Not sure if that's going to be matched in the modern era because of the parity we have now. And that's a great transition into the Lakers side of things, who have not put together such a great streak as 8, but then again, who has? And so the Lakers, a little bit more spread out, but they've won a lot more championships in more recent history. So did you know that the Celtics have only won 1 championship in the last 37 years? Lakers have won 8 in that same time period. So that's the debate that we want to ask you guys. Go ahead and chime in, jump in on the comments, let us know what you think. Who should be considered greater? The team that dominated the absolute most when the league wasn't as good and there wasn't as much parity, or should the Lakers be considered the greater franchise since they've been able to do it multiple times in the new modern era, which by most people is agreed that it's a little bit stiffer on the competition?
Well, the competition level, it has increased massively throughout these last years. Like you said, the Los Angeles Lakers won 8 championships, right, in the new generation, right?
The last 37 years.
37 years.
Since the mid-'80s.
Mid-'80s, which in the 80s you had Magic, you got Kareem for the Lakers, they were dominating the NBA back in the day. And yeah, in my opinion, I think the Celtics are a greater team of history, dominance-wise. However, the Los Angeles Lakers, if we're talking about last 40 years, the Los Angeles are a way better team that had a lot more dynasties than the Boston Celtics in that case. Kobe had 2 eras, which was the Shaq and Paul Gasol era, which was in early 2000s and 2010s, which not a lot of players had 2 dynasties in their career. So in that sense, I would say the Los Angeles Lakers are a better team for history-wise. It's a greater team. However, I think the Boston Celtics don't fall behind, especially this season, how they're looking. They might win the championship this year, and then, but also one championship doesn't make a team greater or less. It just makes it one more time champions.
Well, it depends on what your criteria is. So if you're placing chips at the highest order, then whoever wins the next one is going to be the greatest franchise.
That's
but,
true.
It's, again, that's the whole point of having this discussion, is to kind of give you guys something to take back to your circle of friends and kind of insert that point that it depends on what your criteria is. There is no real objective way. There is no answer key. There is no scientific formula, because you can kind of say what you want to say, and if you back it up, it's going to sound good. So, for example, let's transition. You said Kobe, right?
Yes.
Is Kobe considered an all-time great? Is he the greatest player of all time? Is he the top three, top five? And when you look at everyone's top five, top 10, you rarely ever see Bill Russell in there. And so why is that? If we are defining greatness with championships, then he should be considered the greatest. So I don't want to hear all this crap about not winning chips making you not great or winning chips or making you great. Because if that's the case, then Bill Russell is hands down the greatest player of all time. So could we say then he's the greatest champion of all time since he won the most championships? How do you rate best? Is it your talent? Is it your skill level? Plenty of guys never won a chip, had massive talent, just couldn't get it done. And why is that? I mean, just look around at all the great championship teams. There was always multiple stars. Shaq could not get it done by himself. Kobe couldn't get it done by himself. They brought him together. They got Phil Jackson, the greatest coach of all time, and they won a lot of championships. They won 3 in a row, went to a fourth, and kind of lost.
Well, that's true. Championship-wise, Bill Russell didn't really have a superstar next to him, if we see this history. However, like you were saying, every team, every champion needs to have like a superstar next to him to be able to win a championship. So as the Warriors did, the dynasty of the Warriors, they had KD, Clay, Curry, Draymond, we can consider him. Kobe had Paul Gasol next to him. And in early 2000s, he had Shaq. And then MJ had a Scottie Pippen, also Rodman. So a lot of this, LeBron James is one of the few players we can say that he's done it almost by himself, but you can't really argue that because he also had a superstar next to him. That he had the trio with Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and also LeBron James. And then in Cavs, in the Cleveland in 2016 championship, he had Kyrie next to him. But Kyrie was still under development, which he got traded to 2 seasons after. So, and now in 2020, the latest championship with LeBron James was in 2020, which he was with Anthony Davis. However, LeBron carried a whole Cleveland. Not a lot of players can say that you can carry a whole team that never won a championship, such as Cleveland Cavaliers, like LeBron James did. I think adding up pretty much if we say top 3 greatest players of all time, it has to be mentioned LeBron James. He did it with 3 different teams. I'm a Curry fan, but it's the facts and it's the reality because he did it with 3 different teams, won 4 championships. He did anything. No one was able to go back to his team. Damian Lillard is trying right now to win a championship with his team. He's loyal to one team. Curry had a little bit of luck with Klay Thompson, Draymond, and Kevin Durant, but that's the way I see it personally.
I think the more the luck is with Steve Kerr. Remember, Steve Kerr is from the Phil Jackson system. He played for Phil Jackson, so he kind of brings that kind of mentorship and that kind of history with him. So I think the coach is extremely important. When you look at dynasties, there's always a great kind of coach attached to it. So,
in your opinion, quick question, is Kobe Bryant a top 3 player of all time?
Well, it depends how you define, great. What is your criteria for great? Is it your stats? Is it what you did with your team on the floor? Is it the number of chips that you've won? Is it a combination of something? Does something weigh more than the other?
I mean, it's a combination of how good the player was and the championship the players had won.
Okay, so how big is that pie, though? Is it 50-50?
50-50, yeah.
So then, but what if you never won a chip? What if you never were on a good team? Many people consider Barry Sanders to be the greatest running back of all time. Not to sidetrack to another sport, but that's the prime example that everyone refers to. Was on a franchise that was not so great, to be nice to the Lion fans out there, and but he did so much with so little. Just like you were saying, LeBron did. I think that's how you can make the argument that LeBron is the greatest player of all time. Not saying yes, I'm saying you can make the argument. Remember, this episode is about introducing how you can talk to your friends, your family about making arguments for certain things. So if we consider LeBron the greatest, it's because of his ability to start over 3 different times and to carry teams that had very little talent. Even all the times he lost in the finals with the Cavs and things like that, he had no help at all. And the one time he did have a little bit of help, he beat what was the greatest team of all time at that point, the Warriors, who had set these single wins for a season record, and were expected to just kind of trounce through the playoffs. And he came back from a 3-1 deficit and did that. So that is that your criteria for greatest? Is it the most chips? So would it be Bill Russell? Are we going to go with the classic Jordan argument because he went 6 for 6? What do you say for Kobe? It's a lot different because he did, like you said earlier, he did do it twice, two different dynasties, two different sets of players. Yes, there were some players who were on that first run with Shaquille, but most of the players were different. They were able to plug in and put different pieces in. And to me, I think if you're making the argument for Kobe being the greatest, it's that he has that same versatility around him. But what Kobe's most known for, in my opinion, is elevating the team and players around him. And that's what he does. He makes everybody better because of the standard that he sets in practice, the tone that he sets when the team is playing, and how serious he takes this. And so, to me, Kobe and Michael were a lot closer in their demeanors and the way they approached the game. They didn't give a crap if you didn't like them. They weren't worried about that. They just wanted to win. You look at LeBron's leadership; it's a lot different. LeBron is a lot more friendly, I guess, in the media. Not that Kobe wasn't. He definitely was. But overall, LeBron seems to be a little bit of a nicer guy, so to kind of speak. And Kobe and Jordan were just more ruthless.
Well, you also need to have that character with you if you're a great player and you want to build a team like Kobe and Michael Jordan did. Also, it's a whole different generation if you see it, because nowadays you don't really see what players talking smack except for the Draymond and Dylan Brooks, what just happened. And yeah, you don't really see that a lot in a lot of guys nowadays. So yeah, it's a whole different game as well. We can't compare the game from the 60s to nowadays. Nowadays it's a lot more competitive. But yeah, so diving into this, we're going to talk about what do you think is the most overrated team of all time?
Overrated team?
Overrated of all time. It's a tough one. You can say some. You don't need to have like, oh, this team. I know it's a little bit hard. There's a lot of teams like the Knicks. We can say the Nets. We can say the Houston Rockets.
I would say the most overrated, and this is probably just a bit personal. I'd say the most overrated team of all time was the Phoenix Suns, and Steve Nash won those 2 MVPs that should have been Kobe's. Because that team didn't go anywhere, didn't do nothing. They were heralded as this. Mike D'Antoni got crowned the king of offense, but the dudes couldn't win a damn game in the playoffs when it mattered the most. Of course they won a playoff game, but they didn't get no chip.
That's true. That's true. The Phoenix Suns has been a team that's overrated, overlooked. Also with Steve Nash, how you said it. But yeah, in my opinion, I think one of the most overrated teams of all time is tough. After the 2000s, I'd probably say the New York Knicks. But beforehand, I really don't know. But Phoenix Suns has always been an overrated team, we can say. But yeah, it's a tough one, though. It's a really tough one. We can say about the Nets as well, which we say like, oh, that for sure they win 3 more championships, the 3-peat they're going to do and all that. Which in this case, later on, we're going to talk about which were the failed dynasties, which Brooklyn Nets, which a clear example. But yeah, so it was a tough one. I'll probably say Houston Rockets were one of the most overrated teams. I don't know about all time because I didn't watch a lot in the 90s because I'm mainly a new generation. So I'll probably say that because of the Houston Rockets 2019, 2018. But yeah, for sure, you can add Phoenix Suns in that conversation. So, talking about the most overrated team, what do you think is the most underdog team of all time? Like, the most underrated team? It's a tough one as well.
I'm going to go with the Portland Trailblazers because they've gotten so close so many times. It's just been kind of a tough run for them, and Dame has kind of been holding them down the last decade. So, I think Portland is a great organization. I think it's they're always just seem to be one player away from getting over the hump. And Clyde the Glide Drexler probably... Well, a lot of guys were underrated in the Jordan era because of Jordan, but, Clyde was amazing. And go watch some YouTube clips. Bulls versus the Trailblazers in the finals.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Portland Trail Blazers have been a team that's been underlooked, we can say. Damian, I feel they need an extra step. They almost had it in the 2019 season, but also the Warriors dynasty. Every single time you have a dynasty in the middle, it can literally like block your career, such as MJ, as you said, as you mentioned, with the Portland Trailblazers and Drexler and all that. We can also see that in nowadays with Portland, for example, in 2019, 2018, Damian Lillard hitting that game winner against against the Oklahoma Thunder, which was insane to watch. He hit 2 game winners against the Rockets and the Thunder, but I feel the dynasty of the Warriors also cut too many teams off the list, and we always said it like the Western Conference Final was the NBA Final really, because then it was the Warriors Rockets, and then you dive in and you just see LeBron James, which the Cavs they got swept in 2018, but I didn't. Going back to what is the most team underrated, we can say that the Portland Trailblazers for sure, definitely are one of the most underrated teams of all time. So now, tough questions. What is the all-time 5 starting lineup? You got point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and centered.
This is why I love these questions. So again, it all depends on your criteria. Are we playing in the modern NBA 2023 with these rules? Are we playing with the 1980s rules? You kind of have to define your criteria. And so that's why when people make these all-time lists, it just really pisses me off because they don't stop to consider all the factors that are coming in. They just spew out what's the latest thing in their head. So of course, if we're talking about a top 5, you're going to have players who played in the last 10 years. You're not going to put anyone in there who played in the 80s and 90s because no one shot threes like that. Now here's the reverse to that. Well, could those guys have made that many threes? Could Larry Bird have made 14 threes a game like Clay? Probably. He had the ability, just wasn't the play style. So when you think about the all-time, starting kind of squad, it's really kind of hard to say. So I always think defense is safe to kind of start with.
Okay. So let's just break it down then. What are the best top 5 best starting lineup in the last 10 years, from the 2010s to now?
So we're gonna go by decades, right?
Yeah, decades. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to put Dwight Howard at center for that kind of defense. I know most people are gonna go with Jokic, but Jokic has been proven to be exposed. So.
I mean, the Denver Nuggets are in a losing streak right now as we speak.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if I had to pick an all-time team, well, I guess Giannis is old enough. Yeah, I'll put Giannis there.
Power forward.
I'd put him at my 5. I'd put him at my center.
Ooh, centered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then obviously LeBron is at small forward. And then in the backcourt, I'd have Curry and Dame for sure. Chris Paul is close, but I just think having those 2 guys would make a offensive nightmare. And then you need someone to play some D, but it'd be hard not to go with Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know that's not their positions, but I think if you have Durant, Giannis, and LeBron in your front
and
court,
you got Dame and Curry for shooting, that's a good team right there.
Lacks a little bit on defense, but I think Giannis and LeBron are so dominant on defense that you can kind of make up for that. So, What about you?
I mean, I have point guard Stephen Curry for sure. The shooting guard, I'm thinking about it because I don't know about Kobe because we're not really the last 10 years we're talking. So, but let's see. You got Curry at point guard. Shooting guard is tough. I'm thinking about Damian Lillard or also James Harden, but James Harden, we know how he probably chokes in the playoffs. We can see his stat lines are below 14 points per game. But yeah, so that's my question right now, shooting guard. But however, let's just skip shooting guard for now. Small forward, put Kevin Durant for sure. He's a great player. In the playoffs, he's shown for his team where he needs and all that. He also brought 2 championships for the Golden State Warriors. Well, yeah. And also, LeBron James, you've got to put there at power forward. And then, Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think he has been and shown a great talent. I think he's going to win another championship within the next 5 years. I think he's going to win it. I think he's going to win it with the Bucks again. I think he's not going to leave the Bucks. But you never know. There's the NBA. It's a business. And also shooting guard, let's go back. I'm just a Warriors fan. I'd probably say Clay, but to be honest, there's a lot better shooting guards than him. Great duo with Curry though, but I think I'm gonna go with James Harden. I don't know why. James Harden always been a good shooting guard that you want in the corner, just knocking down threes. That step back also kills you. But yeah, those are the top 5 lineups. Now let's dive into the 2000 era, 2000 to 2010s, like the Kobe era. Let's put it that way. What do you think are the best top 5 starting lineups? I didn't really watch this era, so mine is probably more like 2K. But what do you think?
What do you got? You go first on this one.
I go first. Let's see. Point guard, we got Steve Nash. Never go wrong. Kobe Bryant, shooting guard at the 2. And then the small forward, let's go with centered, Shaq. Let me put Dwayne Wade in shooting guard and Kobe at small forward. I think he played small. He played small forward, right? Kobe.
Yeah. He's listed as a guard, but you could slide him in there.
Yeah. Well, when I play 2K, it gives you the options shooting guard or small forward. So I would just put him there. And then power forward, I mean, I really want to put LeBron, but he was a young LeBron yet. He didn't win a championship during that time. I'll probably go with Dirk Nowitzki.
Nice.
So, I think that's my top 5. Yeah. And at 6-man, I have Manu. You got to put Manu. Yeah. Ooh, Tim Duncan. Oh, now I'm just running. Yeah, I think that's my top 5. Yeah, for sure.
Got it.
What do you think? You watched more than I did. I'm more a new generation guy. Like, 10 years in.
Shaq at the center position, Kobe in your backcourt with the guard, and Kevin Garnett at power forward. And, I think I like Paul Pierce better than Dwayne Wade for the other guard. I just feel like he played better defense. He's a little bit longer. But the small forward, that is really tough. I would slide in T-Mac again. I know he's more of a guard, but he's really tall and long. So I'd go Tracy McGrady to kind of fill up
and
that.
Yao Ming. So, yeah. Okay, that's a good starting lineup. I think that's going to be... Imagine we actually see that game. Okay. Imagine a game. Not a game, man. Imagine repeating 2 Shaqs in the same team. Imagine. But, yeah. So, now let's go with the next era, the Michael Jordan era. You watched it during that era. I didn't really watch it. I just know about Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and that's it. So, I'll go. You can go first. I have an idea what players, because I don't really know this era.
Got it.
Disclaimer.
This one is pretty easy because how
The
dominant
Chicago
the players
Bulls.
were. No, you'd have Michael Jordan, and then in center you'd have Hakeem Olajuwon for absolutely. There's no doubt in that. And then you definitely need Patrick Ewing at power forward. And then you definitely need Karl Malone as well, even though he played power forward. But I would just stack those 3 big bodies down there. And then
remember, this is the 90s, so it was mainly inside.
Exactly, yeah. And then, it's a wash-up between Scottie Pippen and John Stockton. I mean, who do you want back there, So
that's true. Here, I'm pulling up some players to have in mind. Okay. I don't know if Shaq will call it this generation. It was a young Shaq yet. So
he was an unproven rookie. Not rookie, but,
Yeah.
But Shaq was dominant the first day he played.
Okay, point guard, I got John Stockton, I think, because you have an assist. You had got to put Karl Malone right there.
Of the 90s for sure.
Yeah, so you got Malone for sure at center or power forward. Hakeem Olajuwon for sure. MJ, no doubt, right?
Yep.
And then small forward, honestly, I'm between Scottie Pippen or Patrick Ewing for the, but I think I'm going to go with Scottie Pippen. I think Scottie Pippen was one of the most underrated players of all time. That's because he's been next to Michael Jordan, so... But also, he probably can be that great because of Michael Jordan, so we don't really know about that. But, yeah, for sure underrated player, though. Also, we got Davins. We also have...
You got Charles Barkley, too.
Charles Barkley.
Yeah. I mean, the Admiral was good, but Olajuwon was...
Yeah, also, all these guys play in the MJ era, so...
Robinson won his chips after MJ retired. So...
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Elijah won it when MJ...
was on his break.
So, I mean, yeah. Okay, now we go in the 80s, and that's it, because the 70s and all that, we don't really know about that. 80s, I think we know a little bit more, I want to say. So, let's... Okay, point guard, easy. Magic Johnson, no doubt. Let's see, I'm pulling up some players. It's a tough one. Most of these guys play in the 90s as well, so we can't really judge. But let's see.
Well, in the '80s, Larry Bird was the best player, and before Larry Bird, most people say it was Moses Malone, and so Bird kind of was chasing him, kind of took over from him. So those two guys would definitely be on the squad, along with Magic Johnson,
And Kareem.
and Kareem.
Yeah.
And then you definitely want to go with Isaiah Thomas or Julius Erving, probably for your fifth.
That's true. I can't agree with that. Elijah One didn't do. The 80s were mainly the Celtics and Lakers, it feels like.
Well, yeah, those are the two dominant teams.
Like, that was, like, for sure. We don't really know about that because you were born in the 80s, but you were more a 90s kid, so, right? Am I getting that right?
I wasn't watching basketball in the 80s, that's for sure.
You're more MJ era, right?
Yep.
MJ for sure, and then Kobe, and then LeBron, and then, well, how do we call this era? Put it that way. What player is era this is?
We're entering a new era, so we need the next king. No one's been crowned yet.
I mean, yeah, we can say the Warriors dynasty, the Warriors, but yeah, that was just 5 years ago and 8 years ago.
No, this is LeBron's era. Unfortunately for you, my friend, Curry plays when LeBron plays. So
that's true, but we'll see. For sure, LeBron. We can say, and yeah, now it's just new generation. What do you think about the new generation? Is it gonna be better than LeBron era? Do you think it's gonna be worse? Like, what is your standards? As you're seeing, we're watching March Madness right now, but
it's getting worse. I mean, Charles Barkley said it best. All this hugging and kissing after games is, ruining the competitive edge. So that's why Dylan Brooks going after Draymond was so refreshing. I think that's great. I don't know why everyone thinks Draymond's such this like polarizing villain. I mean, like everyone had a Draymond on their team back in the '80s and the '90s, and that was dope. You had that, you know what I mean? So everyone's complaining about Draymond. Go look up Dennis Rodman. You guys have forgotten, or you weren't alive. So I think we need more of that. I think we need more people that are intense, that bring the good drama, not stuff that's about people's personal lives outside of the NBA and that sort of crap.
Yeah, like keep it in the court.
Yeah, we need some on-court rivalries. I want to see guys who don't like each other, who, when they look across at someone else, just their skin just crawls and they just can't wait to beat the crap out of that person and send them home. Like, sports needs that. You need that,
Well, you need that for competitive wise, and people will probably enjoy more the watching of basketball. And yeah, so we're talking about right now players and all that. Let's try to dive into dynasties. What do you think are the best dynasties of all time? In your opinion, or not in your opinion, but like the facts. Put it out.
I mean, it's got to be the Celtics in the '60s, but again, it goes back to that whole thing. Kind of like how UCLA basketball is. UCLA is technically the best college basketball program in terms of chips won, but they haven't won anything. We won in 1995, so they've won one championship in the last 50 years or so. So, can that really make them the greatest dynasty? Same for the Celtics. Again, Celtics, 30 years ago, of course, the greatest dynasty of all time. But the last 30 years, you've had the Lakers dynasty, you've had the Warriors dynasty, and you've also had the Chicago Bulls, obviously. So it's kind of tough to say.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against 8 in a row and 11 in 13 years. It really is hard to argue against that.
Well, yeah, each generation, each era has their own dynasty, so it's kind of hard to talk about it. But the Warriors dynasty is by far one of the greatest. I don't know, what do you have in a game? Imagine, I know we would never know, but what do you think would be better, the 2017 Warriors or the 90s Bulls?
Then the '90s Bulls, the only other one that can even compare with the Celtics, because they won 6 out of 6. They won 6 in 8 years. So to me, they're the only ones who can even compete with the Celtics. Everybody else has their stuff too spread out. So when you talk about dominance and domination, those are the two runs.
I mean, yeah, we can see that the only dynasty that had 100% of all finals were the Chicago Bulls with 6 finals and 6 championships. All the other teams failed once at least. The Warriors, 4 finals, 3 championships. We're talking about the 2017 Warriors, not KD. We're talking with KD. And we got the Shaq and Kobe. They had 4 finals, won 3. Then we got the Magic Johnson and Kareem, 4 championships, 5 finals. The Manu, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker era dynasty, which had 5 finals and 4 championships. And then the Celtics with Larry Bird in the 80s, which was 3 finals and 2 championships. So the only dynasty that actually dominated, we're talking about domination-wise, is every single dynasty dominated, but 100% efficiency was the Chicago Bulls. No doubt about that. Also, we can argue about the Warriors in the 2019 final, but that was injuries-wise, so we will never know because of injury. So it's a tough one. We're talking about with KD, not without KD, because the 2016 one, the 3-1 deficit, 3-1 down, the Warriors, how the Cavs came back and all that. We can't really talk about that because Kevin Durant was not in that team yet. So even though they were had the greatest regular season with 73 wins and 9 losses, like MJ said, 73 wins does not mean a thing without the ring. So I don't know. But for sure, the Kevin Durant, if we're talking about the dynasty of the Warriors, for sure was the Kevin Durant era. They won 2 championships with him, the 2017 and 2018. He was MVP's finals. And, yeah. So, yeah, Kobe had 2. Would you call the dynasty of Kobe and Paul Gasol a dynasty or not really, which is an era?
I just call it the Kobe dynasty, to be honest. I don't like how people split up the 2 runs. I mean, in Kobe's mind, he'll tell you if he was still here, pretty sure that there was one run. It was one consistent, kind of quest for him. He was the core. There's a lot of shadow because Shaq got all 3 MVPs in the finals. But, to me, the MVPs are whatever. They're voted on by writers and shit. If you had the MVPs selected by the coaches, the players, things would look a lot different. So I don't put that much stock in those sort of awards. I look at it from a longevity perspective, and Shaq couldn't win nothing until he came here, and Shaq won again, but he won with Dwayne Wade. So everyone always tries to talk this crap about Kobe Bryant can't win with nobody or can't win by himself. Well, why don't you go and look up all the championships ever won of all time, and there's no one there who's won one by themselves.
I mean, I'm really thinking about the only player that was able to win a championship of themselves. Maybe in Milwaukee, Giannis, but you had Chris Middleton, True Holiday, so it was more a team. That's a tough one, actually. That's a good question. Which team? It's really hard.
The answer is none.
There's none. You need a duo to be able to win something. You need someone next to you, not a superstar, but a star, right? Yeah. Not a superstar though. But yeah. So now we're talking about dynasties. Let's talk about the failed dynasties. Brooklyn Nets, for sure. You got 2 right there. 2 dynasties that fail massively. So what's your perspective on that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't really call it a failed dynasty because it never was a dynasty to begin with.
That's true.
So,
well, what people expected and all of that, because there's not really a failed dynasty. There's nothing as failed dynasty. It's a dynasty or not dynasty.
Yeah.
What people expected to be a dynasty.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
By far, the Nets is the most disappointing in recent sports history that I can think of.
That's true.
The only other one, it's not in basketball, but in baseball, would be the Atlanta Braves in the 90s when they won the division 11 straight times, had the absolute best dominant pitching rotation for a decade, and only came away with 1 World Series.
I did not know that.
It's very haunting, growing up watching the Braves, rooting for them, because back in the 80s and 90s there was no way to stream stuff, the MLB package stuff. You had to have a satellite dish to get that. No one had a satellite dish, unless you had a lot of money. So basically, you watch the Braves every day because Ted Turner owned TBS and he owned the team. And so they showed more Braves games than Dodger games. I grew up in Los Angeles area. They showed more Braves games than Dodgers and Angels games.
Sure.
Now it's way different. In your generation, you couldn't even imagine not having access to that. Could you imagine that? You had to watch SportsCenter, and that's why SportsCenter used to be the greatest show of all time. Now it's I can't remember the last time I watched SportsCenter because I just go on my phone and I get everything that I need. SportsCenter was great because you had to wait to get the news. You had to wait to hear about the victories and see the highlights. Imagine having to watch a show on TV that has commercials at a very set time to see the highlights. You guys would literally like die.
Yeah, for sure. I could not live with that. Like, oh, how's this game going? How's this game going? I would not be able to do that at all. But yeah, for sure, the not failed dynasty, but the expected failed dynasty. Can we say that? I don't know. You guys get the point. I think it was also the 2008 Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett traded to the Brooklyn Nets. That one was for sure.
Yeah, but those dudes were already pretty old by then. I mean, they were old when they won the championship with the Celtics.
I mean, they just win the championship when they got traded, or
yeah, they blew up the team.
Oh, really?
Well, no. That was they won in 2008. Then they lost the rematch in 2010 to the Lakers. And I think they blew them up after that.
Oh yeah, in 2012 I think it was 2011.
Yeah, those dudes were old by then.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Pierce was already pooping in his pants. Do you guys remember that? If you don't, go look it up on YouTube. Just type in Paul Pierce wheelchair. So Paul Pierce fakes this injury that he got something wrong with his ankle. They put him in a wheelchair. Goes to the locker room. A few minutes later, he comes back running outside smiling.
And if you see the replay in the pants when he was opening his, you can see something there. We're not gonna say if he's PG rated, but
that dude had to take a crap. Diarrhea in the locker room. He came back. So
he came back and then scored like 20 points or something like that. He literally just came
Paul
back.
Pierce, one of the greatest players of all time. That's all I can think about every time someone brings him up.
I mean, you can't. I remember, especially the jersey they were using is white, so everything was white. Jersey, pants, no, that's even worse. Man, that was funny. That was for sure a funny moment in the NBA.
Bro, I'm not actually hurt. I just need to take a shit. Take the locker room.
Oh my gosh.
That's what he had to tell the trainer. It's like, hey, bro, I need you to put me in this wheelchair, act like I'm hurt, because I really got to take a poop.
And we can see, there's actually a clip, the kid was like, there's a kid like, oh, he knew what was going on. The kid at least. But yeah. So, since we talk about this, for sure, I think the most notable one was the James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Brooklyn Nets. Also, we can also have the debate about injuries, but, I mean, injuries is part of it. If everybody was healed and all that, everything was like, imagine no injuries and all that, they probably would have won, but they went up to Game 7 with the Milwaukee Bucks. Kyrie got injured in Game 2, was it? Or Game 3?
Durant playing by himself.
Pretty much, yeah. Harden was, I think, out for the first couple of games. The first 4 games. I remember watching him in Game 7, though. He got out because of injury. Kevin Durant literally did everything in that Brooklyn team. I think...
That was one of his best performances of his career, even though he lost. I was more impressed by that than when he won those MVPs.
With the Warriors, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, now this is a good question, because once Curry retires... Do you think Curry's a top 10 player of all time? Again, with the all time, but this generation for sure. But the top 75 players, where do you think Curry will end up in his career ranking wise? It's a tough question because we're talking.
It depends how old you are. That's your rating system is going to change. I mean, but again, that's the whole point of this podcast is to give everyone different perspectives on how we kind of grade criteria and things like that. So. Here's one way I like to look at it. So, Wilt and Shaq, the rules the game had to change because of how dominant they were. Now the rules didn't change because of Steph, but Steph changed the entire way that the league and kids around the world play basketball. So to me, that is incredible. To me, that puts him in the top 3 up with Wilt and Shaq for most impactful players, in that sense. Does that mean he's the greatest? Well, how do you define greatest? Could one-on-one matchup? No, he'd probably get dominated in a one-on-one matchup by some 6'9", 6'8" player like Durant or LeBron or Kobe, So how do you define great? It's a team sport though, so he didn't need to play that much kind of defense, and he's an offensive master. So can you say he's better than everybody else? You certainly can. Depends again what your criteria is. So is he a top 10 player and he retires? Absolutely, because here's what happens. History gets erased. The older you get, the more you get pushed down. Moses Malone is not on anyone's, top 15 probably anymore. The dude's only been retired for 20, 30 years. So imagine 20, 30 years from now, no one's going to remember anyone else in this top 10. It's only going to be like Durant,
MJ.
LeBron, MJ, and a bunch of other dudes
Kobe,
that aren't even
maybe.
born yet, So... No, man, I don't talk about that. Everyone's already leaving Kobe off their top 10 list all the time. All these damn haters. Yeah, it's really upsetting. All these haters, man.
Top 10, I'll give Kobe. Top 5, probably. I need to think about it.
No, man. All these haters on, a little professional. I listen to a lot of, sports journalism, sports media. You know what I mean? These dudes always hating on Kobe. I don't know why. I just don't get it. Same reason why everyone's always hating on Tom Brady. Everyone's just hating.
I mean,
Bunch of
yeah.
haters.
I mean, it's all about. Kobe did something that not a lot of players did. So now let's.
Yeah, it's called doing a 360 dunk in a damn live game. Nobody does that. Jordan didn't even do 360s in the game.
That's true. So now we're going to get into the topic of which jersey is better, old jersey or the new jersey. So let's start off with the Philadelphia 76ers. So we got the Allen Iverson famous jersey, black Sixers. And then we have the new one with Philadelphia. It's a tough one. This Philadelphia one with the stars next to it and all that.
Man, it's not tough at all. That new jersey sucks compared to the old jersey. AI was the face of that franchise. AI made that franchise interesting,
So you got the old jersey?
Yeah, but listen, it's not about how it looks. It's about, the players who played in those jerseys is what makes jerseys iconic and great. I mean,
Warriors.
Being a Laker fan, aesthetically, I'm not a big fan of this color, but I am because of who wears it, who plays it. When I see that color, when I see that jersey, it's the memories that I have associated with that. So when you showed me that AI picture, I got pumped. When you showed me the new one, you got zero personality Embiid and Harden, that I'm thinking about. Rather watch, Maxey and the other role players in that team play. Those dudes are exciting, Joel just takes care of business, and I'm just not a Harden fan.
You're not a Harden fan?
I'm a Harden hater.
You're a hater. And why is that?
Because I think he's extremely overrated. I think he's got a bad attitude. I think he's a bad teammate. Straight up.
Okay. I guess I'm putting this up right here. Thoughts about that?
I do give respect to James, though, because he didn't want to be the third fiddle anymore, and he was in the shadow of Westbrook and Durant, so he went to Houston. He carried that team. He led the league in scoring. I think he might have won an MVP, right? One of those years?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
2018, I mean.
Yeah, so I give him massive props and, seeking
regular season-wise, he's one of the greatest players.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, we saw the stats.
Right, which is why he can't be a great, all-time great, you know what I mean?
That's true, because playoffs are the most important part of a player. It doesn't matter. Regular season, no one really cares about.
Well, it depends what you value. Some people swear that Peyton Manning was this great quarterback, and I'm like, man, Peyton Manning was a stat packer during the regular season and disappeared, and anytime there was an important play, his little brother Eli was better than him.
Also, giving some props to Harden, he was able to get all the way to the conference finals with the Houston Rockets, which had Chris Paul, but
yeah, and he ran to the Dynasty Warriors,
really the real NBA Finals in the 2017-2018 era at that time was really Houston Rockets against the Warriors.
Yep, and of course Chris Paul hurts his hamstring in Game 6.
Of course.
And the Warriors come back and win 2 games in a row.
I remember one of those games, Curry had 0 points in the first half, and then he knocked out
trust me, man. As a Warrior hater, I remember that series. I was like, yes, let's go, Houston. And I'm also a Chris Paul fan. I think it's bullcrap.
Chris Paul deserves a ring, to be honest.
It was David Stern's fault. The commissioner, blocked the trade of having him come to the Lakers, which is the dumbest thing of all time. You got all these super teams now, and again, haters. Everyone's gonna hate.
That would probably be an OP team, low-key, if you think about it. Having Kobe, Chris Paul, I don't know. Who do you guys get instead of Chris Paul?
Gasol.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That could have been you, CP3, 2 chips in your jersey in the rafters next to Kobe, but no, it wasn't. And even though David Stern tried to hate on Kobe and the Lakers, we still got it done.
We're cheering right now.
But let's be honest, Jerry West hooked us up, GMing for the Grizzlies. So, let's just be real. We got hooked up by our boy. We'll take it.
That's true. Okay, quick question. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about the man, the legend, the UCLA legend, Russell Westbrook. thoughts about him. What do you think about Russell Westbrook, his entire career? Do you think he was an overrated player, underrated player?
Man, get this crap out of here. He's putting this stuff on. He knows it's going to get me worked up. I'm going to get a hot take right here. Listen, I went to UCLA. I watched Russell Westbrook play live. Get the whole thing. I was shocked when he was a one-and-done player because when I saw him, I'm like, this dude is not ready for the NBA. I was completely wrong. He got in there his first year. He lit it up. I was like, wow. I guess that athleticism kind of translates. As you can see, though, he never developed his game at all. His entire game was based on his athleticism. That's why he slowed down significantly the last 2 years, and he just can't do anything because he doesn't have that kind of skill set. I know he's averaged a triple-double for his career. I know he's a Hall of Fame player. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you're not winning when you need to win the most. And again, I feel like, yes, he got all those stats, but look at the teams he was on. Look how the flow of the team was. Look how they played. Look at the camaraderie. He's just not a leader. He's not a champion. He's not a winner in that sense. Yes, he's a great physical talent. Dude will ball me up and break my ankles, any day. But when you compare him to the caliber of great players who lead, other teammates to victory, he's just the opposite of that, I feel like, And I feel like Harden is the same way, And when they put those two dudes together, I was like, "Oh my god!" Why don't you hire me to go be the GM of the Houston Rockets? I could see from back here that wasn't gonna work. Just like I saw that him coming here and giving up all of our damn pieces that won us the championship, in the pandemic bubble year for this dude wasn't gonna work either. But,
I mean, yeah, I feel Westbrook in the OKC, he was OP. He was a really good player.
Him and Kevin Durant should not have split up. They should have stuck it out. They almost beat the Warriors. They took them to 6 games. Like, they had
the lead, I think. They had the lead.
Yeah,
they had a 3-1.
They were threatening.
3-1 lead they had, I think.
They were threatening to win. They could have won, but,
I mean, yeah. Literally, in the last 5 seasons, Westbrook has been in a different team every season. What do you think about that? Was that a big impact on his career, or...
Yeah, the dude's like, he's like used goods. Everyone just passing him around, like.
I feel bad for Westbrook, don't get me wrong. Because
I don't feel bad. He got paid $40 million a year for going and sucking. Don't feel bad for the guy. He's fine.
I mean, yeah, but, you gotta give respect to him as well.
I started this segment. I started my hot take by how much saying I respect his abilities.
So, yeah, what do you think was the best other than the OKC one, what do you think was the best Westbrook? After the OKC, none of them?
None of them. He couldn't get it going anywhere.
I mean, that's true. The guy is also 34 right now, so he's kind of washed up, we can say.
Well, because his skill set is completely dependent on his athleticism, which at one point was amazing,
That's true. So, what do you think the best season of him was in 2017 with the OKC Thunder? What do you think? What was his prime? What do you think was his prime? Everybody would say the 2017 one. Do you agree with that or no?
No, his prime was the year where he averaged a triple-double for the entire season. I mean, that was his personal.
I think that was 2017, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the team at least went to the playoffs that year.
He always makes the team go to the playoffs, except for the Lakers.
I was gonna say, you sure? Look who you're talking to.
The Lakers. He made the Wizards go to the playoffs with the play-in tournament, so that was good. He gets you up there, and then that's it, pretty much. They got, they went up to 5 games against Philly.
Well, I mean, maybe that's why Durant left. You knew him and Harden were just, couldn't get it done.
All right, now we're going to talk about one of the greatest players right now. We're at one of the topics, which is... I'll cut this off. I just want to... I like having the jersey in the back, so people know how we're referring to. One of the greatest players, or one of the greatest, one of the top 5 for sure. In this generation, one of the greatest players of all time, Kevin Durant. What do you think? What's your take on Kevin Durant's career overall? Do you think he was a good decision leaving OKC or with the Warriors dynasty? Do you think he can do it with the Phoenix Suns this season? What do you think? What's your thoughts about Kevin Durant overall in the season, playoffs, and overall?
I think he tainted his legacy by leaving OKC to go play, and then he went and tried to build that super team, and now he's with the Suns. And the dude just better win this year. I mean, you're going to do all that, you better win. If you're going to keep jumping ship to the best teams, you better win. And he was the best player on the best team when he played with the Warriors, but again, they won a chip without him. So it's really hard to say, was that the system of Steve Kerr? Is that the ability of the spacing that he got because he played with Clay and Curry on the same court and he just had more space to operate? I don't know.
I mean, it's really tough to say. We can see the stats and all that. Kevin Durant's a good player, but I think what's something that he is lacking on is building his own team, not going to what you said, go diving into a good team. For example, the Phoenix Suns right now. Kevin, less than 2 years ago, they were in the NBA Finals. So like, why would you go to a team that's already been in the finals? He's done this with the Warriors already. We've already seen it with the Warriors, as you mentioned. Like he left OKC and joined the Warriors, and when of course we won two championships those 3 years, but yeah, then he was out.
I think he should have stuck it out because I was there actually in Oklahoma when he was there. Ate at his restaurant that was there. He was the talk of the town. Everyone loved and respected this guy. And you have to understand, Oklahoma folks are very nice, they're very loyal. That team came from Seattle. That was the old Supersonics franchise with Gary Payton Sr. And
well, he got drafted by the Sonics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they moved that year to Oklahoma City, and he literally was the face of that franchise, and it just felt like he should have stayed there and been a little bit more patient. But I get he wanted to win, but I think he would have eventually won there on his own and would have had a better legacy. Now I think his legacy is the greatest scorer of all time, is what I hear thrown around in the media a lot. Is that he's the most prolific scorer, is the adjective I often hear used to describe him, is that he can score better than anybody else.
I mean, yeah, Kevin Durant's unstoppable. The only person that can probably stop him is probably LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard, those type of players. But
even that, he's longer than both those guys.
I mean, yeah, he's like the snake.
He's like Kevin Garnett with like
Curry's
handles. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Garnett was the same way, but Garnett couldn't put the ball on the floor like KD can. So
do you think briefly those three seasons with the Brooklyn Nets were there a loss or a win for him? Like it was a lost year, like lost. Like,
I think every year
waste of time.
Since he ripped his Achilles, I don't think he's ever been right. I don't think he ever will be right. And if he doesn't ever win a championship ever again, I wouldn't be surprised. Not because he's not good, because of how debilitating his Achilles injury was. I mean, that's why Klay Thompson's comeback is incredible to me, because he ripped his Achilles and he ripped his knee. His ligaments in his knee, and that's probably because his Achilles was weak and he had to move it differently, and for him to come back is insane. And
he dropped 12 3-pointers 2 games ago for the Warriors, and we won that game against the Portland Trail Blazers, which was incredible to see Clay being a killer Clay. The definition, he almost broke the NBA, his own 3-point scoring. He just got benched because he wanted him to rest, right? Yeah. So he almost did it again. The same thing that he did in 2019 against the Chicago Bulls, that he broke the NBA record most amount of threes in a single game. Not all time. All time is Stephen Curry, obviously. But yeah, I think Kevin Durant, adding on, I think Kevin Durant should have stayed in OKC. I think the OKC would have won like at least 2 championships with Westbrook and Kevin Durant. I don't know about James Harden. James Harden got traded to Houston. I don't know why.
He left before they had that run. So
I mean, yeah, he was not really a part of it, basically. But yeah, for sure, a fun team was to watch, a young team, which no one really thought there would have been. Everybody thought there would have been the next generation, right?
Yeah, that's the way I see Ja Morant and Tennessee right now. Yeah, they look a lot. They remind me a lot of Durant and Westbrook when they were coming up.
That's true.
Young, explosive,
hungry to win.
No experience. You don't know that you don't belong here kind of attitude. Just playing through the big moments and not letting it bother you. That's how Westbrook and Durant were, back in the day.
That's true.
Fearless.
Yeah. So talking about Kevin Durant, let's talk about the Warriors dynasty, specifically the Warriors dynasty from the 2015 season to now. What do you think about the Warriors? That's the only dynasty I was able to watch live. Let's put it that way. The most I have more memorized, more vivid. But what is your takes on the Warriors dynasty?
For me personally, I mean, it's a great testament to the lineage of Phil Jackson. I mean, Steve Kerr played for Phil Jackson, played with Michael, and so I know he picked up a lot of what he knows from Phil, but he coaches very differently. But it's that tree, it's that lineage, and I think that's where, it comes from. It comes from that leadership that starts from the top and kind of spreads out. And you get players early in their career with a coach like that, it sticks with them. You know what I mean? And when you're young and you're a star and you don't have that coach that can kind of like put you in check. I mean, I think that's what happened to Harden. That's what happened to Westbrook. They had Scotty Brooks and they had Billy Donovan. I think when they were playing at OKC, and
Yeah.
I can only imagine how different someone turns out when they have someone to kind of put them in line.
I mean, also this Warriors dynasty changed the whole game with the 3-pointer, and
I wouldn't say the dynasty. I'd say Steph Curry did himself.
I mean Curry and Clay, yeah, Curry himself for sure. Wait, this is a tough question. There's a lot of ask from the media and all that. Who's a better jump shot? Jump shot. Clay or Curry? Curry, okay. Yeah. Everybody says it's Clay, and then people have, Clay has a cleaner jump shot.
No, it's because Clay's taller.
That's true. He's 6'6", and Curry
needs more space. It's like Curry's got to get the hell open.
That's true. But, yeah. What do you think was the best year for that dynasty?
Why Clay's jump shot looks better?
Why?
Because guess who's passing him the ball, making all the space?
Curry.
Okay? Make Curry's shots are more contested. He's got to make his own space. How often times is Curry left open in the corner by himself? Never.
Never.
No, never. There was to defend him, right? And Clay gets plenty of shots where he's open.
Not sure.
So I think that's why maybe there's that perception that he has a better jump shot. Because he's taller, and he gets cleaner looks.
That's true. Also, he's more, taller, like you said. Also, people don't like how the Warriors work that Draymond is the ball handler and Curry's not. Curry always just moves around, try to be open. What do you think about that? There's a lot of questions regarding that. That Draymond is the ball handler and Curry is the more, try to get open player.
So I don't know where this ball handler stuff's coming from. You'd have to show me or I have to hear some film.
Oh, wow.
Because I've watched plenty of Warriors games, and if he doesn't handle the ball unless it's a fast break.
Let me see. Let's just, but yeah, that's the question. There is a lot of media about how Draymond controls the ball more than Curry sometimes. Sometimes, not most of the time it's Curry.
That sounds like some,
made up
weak-ass, low-lame, YouTuber trying to get some, hot takes going. Said Draymond handles the ball more than Curry. Was that your take? Was that your last episode? Oops, my bad.
No. Wow.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, Draymond's got the handles. He's a little bit shorter for a big guy. So, I mean, if he can push it up, it allows Curry to work off ball. And the more Curry works off ball, I think it's better for the offense.
I mean, you can see it clearly. It flows better because we have the defense just not. They sometimes need to focus more on not in the ball, but more in the Curry going all around. He goes all around. We can see it as well. That's why I saw in the Atlanta Hawks game, Warriors were focusing more on Draymond handling the ball. Not Draymond, what I'm saying. Not Curry handling the ball. It was mainly Van Schusitz who hold the ball and all that. And what is this called? So yeah, Draymond is back. He did not play last night, which is playing against the Memphis Grizzlies right now, as we speak right now. And the UCLA is going to start soon. But yeah, so what do you think was the best team of that Warriors generation, the dynasty, which was the 2017 with Kevin Durant, Iguodala, Curry, Clay, or Draymond? What year do you think was the easiest year to win for the Warriors? If that question makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, yeah, they beat LeBron. I mean.
Yeah.
That has to be the best team. I mean,
that's true. Well, Kevin Durant had Kyrie. We're talking about the 2017 one. His 2018, he didn't have Kyrie, and Curry swept them like nothing, basically. But that's true. Do you think out of those top five, who do you think was the best Warrior? Was it Kevin Durant? Was it Curry? Was it Clay? Or Draymond?
I was Kevin Durant, clearly, and that's why I was very happy for Curry, even though, again, Warrior hater. Very happy for Curry because he really proved himself, because for me that's why I didn't like him up until the last championship, because I'm like, man, this dude didn't get it done. His points per game in the big games are very, very low. I know his overall career average is very high, one of the best of all time, but when you watch every single game, you see things, and he would just disappear in those big games, and that's why Katie helped him get over the hump. If you remember the first finals they won, Iguodala was the MVP.
That's true. Iguodala was finals MVP. Then Kevin Durant won.
Yeah, Curry had trouble scoring in that series. He really did. That's why they couldn't give him the MVP. They wanted to, but he didn't show up to score, man.
No,
and that's why I give a lot of credit to Steve Kerr and the way he coaches and Mike Brown. And if you've noticed, since Mike Brown has left, the Warriors are struggling this year. I think that's a big part, and no one's talking about that. No one's saying, they're like, what's wrong with the Warriors? Mike Brown left. Your top assistant coach left. You're, one of the best defensive minds of all time.
And that's true.
And look where he's at. The Sacramento Kings, second damn place in the Western Conference as of today.
Western Conference we're talking about.
Hasn't made
Western.
Has not been the playoffs since Doug Christie and Mike Bibby was given right? The Lakers and Kobe and Shaq era. They have not been in the playoffs since the Kobe and Shaq era. And this dude Mike Brown leaves, goes to his first year, and look what he's doing. So I think the Warriors are really missing Mike Brown's presence.
I mean, yeah. Well, home-wise, all the home games, the Warriors has been one of the best teams, but road games were the worst team, sadly to say. Literally, we see it every single time. We always choke in the last minutes. I've been watching most of the Warriors games. We always choke in the last minutes. We were up by like 10, and then they just have a 25 run for a team, which kind of sucks to watch. We lost against OKC Thunder, which they're doing something this season. So, yeah. Really quick question before we're almost done, which probably can take like 5 more minutes, and we're done for today. Do you think the Lakers are going to make the playoffs?
If you asked me 2 games ago, hell's yes. After dropping to the Rockets and the way they lost last night, you'd be lucky to get a play-in game. So it's been so volatile. I think it's too hard to tell.
It is. That's why
you could say, yeah, they need to make these bumps in the road to get adjusted with the new team and the new style and all that stuff, but they just look like a great team before the last 2 games. They just look like a team who had the makeup and the will to win and find ways to win, which is a key mark characteristic of championship teams, of great teams that go deep in the playoffs. They just find ways to kind of win the game. And losing to the Rockets, I know there was no AD, no LeBron, but to lose to the Rockets,
the worst team in the league almost,
that is just pathetic. So right now they stand in 10th place at the final play-in spot. They're only up by 1 game for that, though. And then they're also only 2 games back of the 6th spot. But again, losing to the Mavs last night.
That was heartbreaking. I saw that game winner. Was crazy. The Warriors are also in a slump right now. The Warriors are also, they're 2 games difference with the Lakers. But I'm pretty sure the Warriors are going to make the playoffs. Do you think the LA Clippers are going to make the playoffs?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're fine. They're not
fine.
Anywhere.
How about Dallas?
No.
No?
No.
Play-in? You have them? Or do you have them?
Yeah, they'll make the play-in, but they're not making the top 6.
Top 6? Warriors?
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Nah, Warriors will probably just fall all the way down to like 12th.
Wow.
Just not even make the playoffs.
How about the Timberwolves?
Timberwolves, I don't know what happened, man. Last year, that they were the future of the league, and they definitely took some steps back. So I haven't followed them or watched too many games to make an informed opinion on why that is, but they definitely don't scare me like they did last year.
The Thunder, low-key, with Shea, man, the Thunder are making some... I was shocked watching the Thunder the other night. I was shocked how they were playing. They were playing really good. They're a really young team to watch. And Ryan, I think, not now, but like in 2 years, I think OKC is going to be up there with Memphis. They're going to be like the young super team that we want to watch. Like the new generation is coming in. Because the way they're handling the ball, how they beat the Warriors. Well, the Warriors were really bad in the road, sadly to say. But yeah, they're really doing some. I'm really shocked watching the OKC Thunder play. And we're going to see a lot of the Kevin Durant, Westbrook young generation with Harden like the first couple of years. So it reminds me a lot of that. Also, the Los Angeles Lakers might make the play-in, but it's going to be tough, though. It's going to be for sure down to the wire last game. No doubt the Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs not making it. They're not going to make it for sure. Do you think the Portland Trailblazers are going to make a little nice winning streak, or what do you think on that?
They're way too far back.
Too far back. They're only, yeah. How about the Pelicans or Utah? They have the same.
Are done. We got no Zion. Utah's done.
Utah's done. So who you got in the play-in spots? The 4 teams. It's tough to say.
I got Dallas, OKC, Minnesota, and the Lakers playing.
playing. That's a good list. Alright, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please let us know in the comments and answer all the questions that we ask about what is the greatest team, the Celtics or the Lakers. And we'll see y'all next. Hope you guys enjoy the segment, and we all see you in the next one. Peace!